All right, we are go for launch.
Good evening and welcome to the February 14th, 2024 Valentine's Day special Henrietta Town Board meeting. Is there anything more romantic than a town board meeting? Hopefully the answer is yes. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Here.
Councilmember Belanca,
Here.
Councilmember Barley,
Here.
Councilmember Stafford.
Here.
Supervisor Schultz.
Here. We'll begin the meeting with a silent prayer followed by the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Steve, no, this is a bit unusual, but I would like everybody to keep in mind, keep them their thoughts and prayers. New York State Trooper Stephen Terrell. He was a town resident who passed away last Wednesday from 911 related illnesses. And he worked down at the Trade Center back in 2001 on recovery efforts, but he was a town resident and trooper. So
Thank you for letting us know. Sorry to hear about that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I make a motion, we approve the minutes, and my computer went off from the previous meeting. What was it? January 24th?
24th.
Excuse me.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Can I get my first resolution?
That me?
That's you.
Okay. Don't know what happened here.
My phone's a little small for that kind of reading. I'm gonna use Mike's,
What do you want?
oh, that. It's even better.
There you go.
Thank you. Supervisor Schultz and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-81, 2024. Whereas Terry Hill began working for the Henrietta Public Library in February of 1991 and has served the town and its residents for 33 years. And whereas Terry started as a page, quickly became a clerk, and then in 2013, became supervisor of our circulation department. And whereas Terry has hired, trained, and supervised more staff members than we can count over the years, including several people who are today part of the management staff. And whereas Terry was a key figure in the design and move into the new library facility, and whereas Terry has presided over one of the busiest circulation departments in Monroe County, running a consistently and efficiently and friendly operation. Therefore, be it resolved that the Henrietta Town Board, Henrietta Library Board of Trustees, and her colleagues thank Terry for her dedication of first-rate, steadfast service to our community. Congratulations, Terry Hill.
Second.
So we have a lot of great people who've worked at the library over the years and put in a lot of time, and I know Terry is one of them. At the workshop meeting, Adrian was commenting that we had survived the first day, and then she goes, well, it's only 4:30, so I don't know for certain, because it was apparently the first day that they've operated in a long, long time without Terry there. So again, thank you for your service and dedication to the residents and patrons over the years. Any other comments?
Just thank you for all your hard work.
33 years is a long time. Thanks a lot, Terry. You'll be missed.
Who wants to take it down? Oh, it looks like Adrian.
Do you, yeah. Okay. Like that. Thank you, Terry.
When I said page, I thought of it.
Any further comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 4-82, 2024. Whereas Oressa Brown has served as organizer of the original Friends of the Henrietta Public Library Group, was integral in establishing the bookshop, built up the organization's annual used book sales, and has continued to be a central part of the Henrietta Public Library Friends and Foundation throughout its history. And whereas Oressa has served over 25 years, serving in a number of leadership positions and also being responsible for raising tens of thousands of dollars that have supported library events, programs, workshops, and initiatives. Whereas Oressa has built relationships with library staff, patrons, and her fellow volunteers, serving as a guide to the shop for all. And whereas Oressa received 3 nominations for this year's Henrietta Public Library Volunteer of the Year Award, which cited her extraordinary dedication, intelligence, good humor, compassion, and creative problem solving. Therefore, be it resolved that the Henrietta Town Board and the Henrietta Public Library Board of Trustees wishes to congratulate Oressa Brown, our very first Henrietta Public Library Volunteer of the Year, and thank her for her decades of steadfast service to the community.
Second. So again, a lot of great folks who work at the library, and in this case, doesn't work at the library, volunteers at the library. My only gripe is my wife comes home with large bags of books from the book sales, so we do have to do a clean out now and then to make room. And I built a library in my house, so but yeah, there you go. She probably does. So if she doesn't turn them into crafts, I also joke that my wife is a book killer because she does these crafts with books that, but anyway, like I said, thank you very much for all the service. Other comments?
Is Oressa here? Well, we appreciate her volunteering all those years.
You can. Accepting the award on Oressa's behalf. Library Director, Adrian Pettinelli.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Next up, we have a presentation regarding tobacco control policies by Lexi Popovich from the American Lung Association. I don't know if I got the name quite right, but
At the.
So we're just double checking. There's no time limit
No,
or
other than some people want to
get, yeah,
get home.
okay. Okay. And you did pronounce the name right.
Okay. Yeah.
Lex, yeah. So, we sent over a presentation and some materials to Tiffany. So oh, perfect. All right, next slide. So I'll kind of run through this pretty quick, just so everyone can get about their night, but just some background on what we see in the community. Again, we're at the Lung Association, so we are looking to create tobacco control policies in our community and help prevent substance use among youth. Next slide. So these are just some statistics that's updated in the past year around the state and around locally with Monroe County as well. So just some of the numbers that e-cigarette epidemic is still a problem, and that's why we're here tonight to educate more on these policies. Next slide. So this is our Monroe County YRBS survey. As you can see, there are still disparate rates of vaping usage amongst youth across the county, depending on different subpopulations and minority groups. So that's just some information that the board can look through at a later time. Next slide. So here is a map of Monroe County with percentage of tobacco vendors by population. With our smoking rate at Monroe County, it's 11.8%. There are over roughly about 621 retailers in Monroe County. 507 of those are in the city of Rochester, and 114 are not in the city of Rochester, so just county. And of those 114, 40 of them are in Henrietta. So that makes up over 35% of all retailers that aren't in the city. Next slide. So we're here to educate on tobacco marketing at the point of sale. Again, what we see in the local community is Big Tobacco pays local retailers to put products at eye level to children. They to have different accessibility and discounts and promotions that youth are more likely to use when they see these products. Next slide. So retailers near schools. Retailers, tobacco and vape retailers contain 3 times the amount of marketing and advertisement in shops where adolescents frequent. This could be near schools, middle school and high schools, and other child or youth-centered locations. There's more clusters of youth-appealing products and marketing in storefronts that are near schools again. So a lot of targeted tobacco marketing that goes on. Next slide. When we're talking about tobacco control policies, and what we're here to talk about tonight is different policies that local towns and municipalities and villages have put into effect on keeping vape and tobacco retailers away from youth-centered locations. So New York State has no preemption for tobacco control ordinances, meaning local government is able to implement different policies that you can see here on the board. Next slide. We can skip this slide, actually. So as I mentioned, these are called point of sale policies. It's basically retailer environment policies to kind of keep tobacco and vape retailers at certain locations. And so why do we educate on these? Again, keeping the density and proliferation of these retailers. As you saw before, there's about 40 in Henrietta, keeping those away from schools and keeping new ones away from schools as well. Next slide. There are 2 types of policies that this entails. One is a zoning policy. Obviously, that includes capping the number of retailers in an area through different zoning regulations and putting them in, quote, adult use or commercial areas, which are typically away from schools and youth-centered locations. Next slide. The next is a licensing policy, and that requires a retailer to actually obtain a license. And it simplifies enforcement of the sales of regulating these tobacco and vape products. and it allows jurisdictions to suspend or revoke these license for various violations. This is the more stringent approach that we've seen around the state, where they can restrict the number, location, density, and types of tobacco retail outlets. Next slide. This is just a quick visual. I'll run through it just because you have this PowerPoint on hand. But again, these are the different options that, we've worked with local municipalities to implement and what our partners do around the state. Capping the number of retailers via geographic location, capping retailers to population size, and again, requiring minimum distances from youth center locations to a tobacco retailer, and also distance between retailers. Next slide. These are two local examples that we have. So we worked with both the town of Arundequoit and the town of Perrington. As you can see here, just a few points on some of that legislation. So town of Perrington prohibits smoke and vape shops and hookah bars from being located within 500 feet of each other or other adult use establishments and 1,000 feet of those schools. Again, town of Arundequoit, very similar to that. We worked with them on keeping those retailers at 1,000 feet from schools and also 750 feet for a retail from another. We've also been to many Board of Appeals where new tobacco and vape retailers wanted to operate and they were denied because it was close to schools. Next slide. And the other policy is the town of Brighton. As you can see here, again, it restricts to adult use areas for e-cigarette or vape sales establishments within 500 feet of a boundary of residential zoning and other school related and church related areas. Next slide. This is a map of the town of Arundequoit. Those are the buffer areas 1,000 feet around those schools, and then the red dots are the tobacco and vape retailers. So we do those for different municipalities. We could definitely make one for town of Henrietta. Next slide. And this is just a list of the ones in the state that's up to date. And, we have our contact number and information if you want more resources and pamphlets. We did send a bunch of information. I know we've spoke at a work session before, and we work closely with the Rush Henrietta Coalition as well. So if you're interested in learning more, we work with our Public Health Law Center, who works on the legal aspects of some of these policies. But yep, our contact information is on the back as well.
So just to note, we already do have some zoning laws in place. Unfortunately, there was a sudden explosion of smoke shops, vape shops. But since then, we have restricted them to the same areas that where we allow cannabis sales. So it's very restrictive. It also has the same limitations. 1,000 feet, and it's not just schools, parks, churches, and a business whose prominent business is towards minors. So for instance, the old Kangaroo, Kanga Fun Center, place like that. Unfortunately, the folks who opened up prior to that, they're considered grandfathered in, but if they were ever to stop operating for a year or anything like that, they wouldn't be able to go back to their current location.
Right.
One of the things, we also ban smoking and vaping in parks and towns and stuff like that. Basically any of the public town facilities, and private for that matter. Our employees are not allowed to smoke on campus. The one thing that we have not addressed is this, what I'll call the secondary market. And what I mean by that is like, for sale at gas stations. And there are some gas stations that are close to schools, but again, most of those are going to be grandfathered in. I don't know how you potentially push that away. I don't know how much they sell vape products, but they certainly sell packets of cigarettes and stuff like that.
Right, right.
I am interested in if you could email me some of the sample licensing laws, especially if one of them has been challenged in court and won.
Yep.
Because, you know, so like the limiting the number of stuff, that gets tricky, although I do know that, like we've seen with cannabis and other stuff, you can limit the proximity of 2 units, but I can't say I can only have 10 shops in Henrietta.
Right, right.
You know, like I said, that just so you're aware, the area where the cannabis can be, it's only on West Henrietta Road from essentially the commercial stretch from, it used to be called Dorsal Parkway. I don't know what it's called these days, but up to the railroad bridge, and then on Jefferson Road from John Street to Witten. Just because, again, that's the heart of the commercial area.
Okay.
There isn't a whole lot of, there's no schools in proximity. There's really very few churches, anything like that in proximity. So, but yeah, I'd be interested to see, you know, like I said, I don't know, do they address, or is it only going forward? Do they address the gas station that's selling the cigarettes? You know, again, our high school, there's 2 gas stations almost next door. I'm sure they're selling cigarettes. I'd be shocked if they weren't.
Yeah, so usually, I mean, speaking of the grandfathering in, that unless if you had a licensing policy and you implemented that, then you could tie it to the license, say they were selling to a minor or some other violation, then you could have it written license that you wouldn't renew that, and someone else, that person couldn't renew a different license at a different location. So then through attrition over time, you would, you know, be able to limit them, but that's obviously only with certain violations and such.
Yeah, and we certainly have, you know, problems with some of those smoke shops, CBD oil shops. They've been illegally selling cannabis. We've been having a hard time getting the Office of Cannabis Management to actually do something about it, as well as getting the district attorney's office to actually prosecute it. We caught one of them. We've been working closely with the sheriff's office. They actually sent in plainclothes deputy, and they thought of this. They had a cadet who was 20 at the time. So he went in plainclothes while the deputy was perusing the shop. The cadet actually made a purchase. So we have them caught selling to minors, and here we are almost 2 years later, it still hasn't been prosecuted. So it's a bit frustrating. But you know, the good news is, someone, was it you, Mike, who just shared someone just shared with me a thing about there were a number of shops. Oh, no, it was Craig. It was my deputy town supervisor, that a number of shops were just recently raided by the Office of Cannabis Management.
Yeah.
So hopefully that they're going to finally start cracking down on it, because it's problematic. It really is. So.
Yeah, we often have called in and they would shut down based on information that we heard with youth and everything.
So
yeah.
like I said, if you could send me some sample licensing laws, ones that have stood up to court, if there are any, maybe they haven't been challenged, but if one's been challenged and stood up, that we'd love to see that.
Okay.
We'll take a look at that.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Did you present in front of Monroe County Ledge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And is there anything coming from them, do you believe? that would-
We tried for many years, kind of when Tobacco 21 was going into effect. We've tried with Livingston, Board of Supervisors as well, but then everyone's saying, you know, do more municipal level. You know, if enough municipalities go forward with some of these, maybe they would consider, but we've worked for years, and so we've focused more on the small scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the legislature, I mean, the zoning is obviously town level, but where they might be able to do something is licensing through the health department.
Yep.
The issue is, I don't know that the health department has the staff to deal with it. I think that's probably what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I saw on the screen there that they'd gone in front of the different counties. I thought.
Right.
Mhm.
I have a question also, Lexi. Did I see a slide with neuropathy in it? Maybe the first slide?
First slide. Neural pathways. So, speaking of, nicotine use in young adults and youth, and how nicotine binds to the receptors, the younger they start, the more addicted they'll be and the harder it is for them to quit. So, preventing any type of marketing for youth access in general could help, save a few kids from going down that path. And also the help with the schools that we do and the drug-free coalitions is helpful.
Okay. And the retailers, 114, and you said 40 are here in Henrietta?
Yep, that's correct.
And what type of retailers are we talking about for those 40?
Anyone that sell tobacco. So it's on our active New York State tobacco retailers. So that includes, gas stations,
Gotcha.
convenience stores, vape products now as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
I did notice the
Understood.
number of, most of the smoke shops were highlighted on the map, but like I said, most of the gas stations sell them too. So
Right.
Yep.
Grocery store.
No, thank you for your presentation.
Of course.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Happy
you.
Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Yep, me too.
Next up, we have public hearing for special use permit application number 2023-049, Julie Cook, 14 Blueberry Crescent, to have 4 dogs. Please introduce yourself and present your case.
So my name's Julie Cook. I have lived in Henrietta for my entire life. I'm a Russian Henrietta graduate. I have lived at 14 Blueberry Crescent for, it'll be 30 years in July. We're looking for, our 4th dog. We had 3 dogs. I moved to Georgia with my ESA, came back, and it got reported that, we registered all 4 dogs. There was a complaint. And so I'm here because we have 4 dogs on the property. 3 of them are my parents. The one that's mine happens to be my ESA, making it 4 dogs. The other 3 dogs have been on the property. We have a very huge property. Like, our backyard is huge, so it's not a spacing issue. My Dalmatian is 3 and was barking at a squirrel, and it annoyed one of my neighbors. I do have several neighbors here that can attest to you that they're good dogs. All 4 of them. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to bite anybody. Most they're going to do is they're going to bark at you if you're on the property. We've had dogs before. My family has been in Henrietta for, I don't even know how long I've had dogs. And then this is the first time this has been an issue.
So do you have a fenced in backyard or?
Yeah, so we have a chain link fence. Because one of the dogs is a husky, we do have a invisible fence inside of our chain link fence because nothing
Understood.
stops the husky.
Right. If it was like my old husky, you have to turn the voltage all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
I just had one of the remote trainers, and for the other dogs, the lowest setting, husky, to quote the famous movie, I had to go up to 11. So,
Yeah, and the other one that gets out, the reason we actually put the invisible fence in is because we have a dachshund who likes to go wander about because
Gotcha.
she's little and fits under the fence. This actually didn't start becoming an issue until our oldest dog, who is a pit mix, was brought into the house. He's lived with us now for almost 12 years. And that's when we started noticing more complaints to the town,
Sure.
to the sheriff's office. So this seems to be more of an accumulation of since I've gotten all he does is bark, and he'll sit in the back of the crate and bark at you. He's not bitten anybody. Nobody has.
question, if you got a more senior dog, do you think if that dog passes, do you think you'd go back to 4 or would you drop down to 3 at that point?
As they start passing, we're not going to replace them more than
Right.
likely.
Yeah, because one of the common things we do, this often happens in like we've had people who get a dog, they thought the previous dog was going to pass and lives much longer than expected. So we typically will tie the permit that basically says you can have 4 until the first dog
Yeah,
passes. and
Because the
expires.
eldest is, we have one that's 12, one that's 11.
Right.
And then we have the
Not,
Huskies,
not that I like to talk about passing dogs, but
the Huskies
but
4
yeah.
or 5, and then my Dalmatian's the youngest, and
sure,
she likes to tree squirrels because she wants to eat them.
right. Other questions?
Do the dogs live inside?
Most of the time, they are in the house. They go outside, obviously, to go to the bathroom. This time of year, we do have a little bit of a husky related issue because she wants to be outside, not inside, but 95% of the time they're inside. When the summer is nice and not like 100 degrees, they're outside more. But somebody's always home at my house. My dad's disabled. He doesn't leave the house. Somebody is always home. There's water outside for the dogs. They're never alone. When we leave the house, they're in their crates in the house.
I love dogs. I have 3. However, when my dogs are barking at people going across my driveway, when they're out in the backyard chasing those squirrels and rabbits and groundhogs, it irritates my neighbors. My neighbors have told me that. I stopped letting them go in the front. Okay, we have invisible fencing, but sometimes those dogs will go anyway because they want something really bad. They don't care. I think it's very neighborly if you keep your dogs from barking outside so that people aren't complaining about it. I had a neighbor just about in tears because my dog was driving them nuts. Okay, so
And I understand that. And my response to that is something that the Monroe County Sheriff told us, that told one of the neighbors who ended up leaving. Dogs bark, especially when they're outside, especially Dalmatians are hunting dogs. Huskies are hunting dogs. They're going after the squirrels. They're barking at the squirrels. Unless we can get rid of the squirrel problem in Henrietta, that's going to be a continuous problem. And it's not just going to be me. It's going to continue to happen where people are getting dinged for their dogs barking.
as your town board member, because there's an ordinance that says 3 dogs, you have 4, and the neighbors are complaining about them barking and making a lot of noise, it's a problem. So you have to do something about the dogs barking, and you're gonna have to make sure they stay in or that they're not bothering other people, because that's a problem to the neighbors.
And like I said, I understand that. And going through this process, your town register and whatever said that this is a stupid rule. So maybe it's time that you go back and look at that law.
It's, I don't know who said that. Doesn't matter who said that. It's not a stupid rule, because if you don't have a threshold, you end up with these scenarios where, like, we had the person who had 17 dogs at their home and some,
Right, but all 4 of my dogs are registered. It's not the legal dogs that are the problem. And if you look at your permit, the permit itself says that if you're using it for breeding, that's an exception to needing that permit. So what is it doing?
no. I don't agree with that. What the exception is, if the litter, when you have the litter is the exception. You can't have 4 breeding dogs as the exception. The exception is if you have breeding dogs and they have a litter, you have a certain amount of time to sell the litter. That's the exception for breeding.
But on the same thing, I registered my dogs.
Well,
You know
put it
that
this
they're
way,
not
the law,
breeding.
we're not here to change the law. This is a hearing about whether you can have a 4th dog. So
And-
let's move off that discussion for now.
And to Councilman Barley's point, you know, I have a black lab that he loves to bark at squirrels, rabbits, and deer. And, you know, as soon as I hear him out there barking, he comes in the house. That's, I think my point is, when you notice your dog's barking, you know, it's
Right.
time to bring them in.
Just be neighborly is what we're
That's,
saying.
that's
And-
what
and-
I think that's what Rob was saying
Yep.
too, but.
And especially since you said is it your father or father-in-law is always home,
My dad.
dad? Then just ask him to, if he hears the dog barking.
can't
excessively,
walk.
Ask him to bring him in, so. Okay. If you want to take a seat, we'll see if there's people who have comments. Coming up.
You won't get these back, right? Okay, good.
Please do me a favor and talk at the microphone, because we take minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Bill Kennedy, at 61 Post Hill Drive. I'm one of her neighbors that's actually behind her house and shares a fence line with her. Should have wrote everything down. I'm gonna forget everything now.
Are you talking to the mic, Bill?
Oh, okay, so anyways, when the dogs bark, I have noticed many times that, because my office is right there. I work at home. And they do bring them in after they bark for 5-10 minutes or so, which I greatly appreciate. And the Dalmatian does love squirrels. We got one annoying squirrel that parks himself right on top of the phone pole because the squirrel knows the dog can't reach him. And he just sits there and laughs at him. So anyways, the only reason I pass out the pictures is because I think they show pretty well that that's a huge backyard.
Mhm.
The dogs are awesome. I've been at my address since 2001, and dogs are they're great. I can't have dogs myself because my wife can't have dogs near her. But having them in the backyard, the next yard over is great. We love visiting with them. Our friend Ron next door just got a little dog last year, and her dogs will come over and visit Ron's dog when they're out, and they'll run up and down the fence together. So they're pretty well behaved, and my wife goes out to do her gardening, and sometimes she works right at the fence. And while she's working, she'll go out there. The dogs will let them know that they're there. And then after about 2 or 3 minutes, they totally ignore her. They got used to her being out there and figured that, they're whatever's in their mind when they bark, she's not going to jump over the fence and pet them. Then she's not going to run away, whatever they're thinking. I don't know.
Right.
So I just wanted to be here tonight to say that, they're basically my adopted dogs because I can't have any. And I love having them back there, and they've been great through the years. And like I say, my neighbor Ron also enjoys them because they play with his dog. And by the way, he couldn't be here tonight.
Okay.
So yeah, if there's any questions, I mean, I've been there the whole time, and like I said, they're pretty well behaved. I think it's the squirrel that we should be talking to at times. I've actually had to go out my backyard and throw snowballs at them just to get them to move off the pole so the dogs will stop barking at them. So hopefully that helps. And also in that picture, I noticed somebody mentioned puppy mills, and I was like, okay, whatever. But in the picture, you see those are 4 different breeds of dogs, so they're not breeding or anything.
Right.
Just by observation. And the yard's nice and big. The dogs got full run of the place. They've been really good neighbors through the years.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Norma Kelly. I live exactly in back of these people. I don't want to make my neighbors mad at me, but I wish they would put the invisible fence on. It has been down for at least 9 months. I have a Norwegian Terrier. She was a rescue. She was beaten up for 7 years of her life. And every time I take this dog out, the Dalmatian charges the fence and she wants to go back in the house. I am trying to be very hard, be very neighborly with these people. I know they love their dogs, but I love my property and I love my dog too. So I would just like the invisible fence maintained, kept on when the dogs are out. I know they bark. I see the Dalmatian bark at the squirrels. There are squirrel nests up in the trees. And I just watch her from my kitchen window. So I have full view of the house, the dogs, and this is all I want. I don't care if they have the 4th dog, but if the 4th dog dies or whatever, it is not to be replaced. We have the law, 3 dogs per household. And I don't want to see any more dogs in this, but when you get attached to a dog, you can't rip your heart out.
Right.
So that's all I got to say.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
I just want to thank for the picture because I can tell you when I drove by the piece of property, it's very deceiving. It looks like a very
Because
small,
it's a wedge
Yes.
property, yeah.
and it's very deceiving. I thought it, until I looked at, I looked at the map and then the picture really shows how big the piece of property is. So thanks for that picture. That was helpful.
Anything else?
I'm very comfortable with grandfathering the 4th dog in until one of them passes and then stick to the rule with 3.
Okay,
And we can all be glad that squirrels don't bark.
that's right.
Pardon me?
What about the invisible fence?
I have no control. We don't have the authorization
Well,
to do anything
We
about
can
it.
ask them to be neighborly. Okay, do me a favor, if you want to keep talking, come up to the microphone. Otherwise, I understand what your complaint is about the invisible fence, but
My property is on a hill and I only have maybe 2 square feet to walk the fence line with the dog. I walk my dog two or 3 times a day for her to go to the bathroom. I do not like dogs rushing me. I do not like dogs barking at me. So if the invisible fence is turned on, I will be happy. If it is not, I do not want the 4th dog.
okay.
The invisible fence.
Oh,
is
hold
gonna-
on, come on up, come on up to the, okay, don't,
Please,
I'm Angel Cook, the homeowner, and the invisible fence is on.
okay.
We did have one of them lose the
Collar?
collar, the thing that hooks to the collar, and we're in the process of replacing it.
Okay,
okay.
appreciate that.
So that issue will be taken care of, the dogs going right up to the fence.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? And hearing no further comments, I'm gonna close the public hearing for special use permit application 2023-049. Did you want to make a motion, Rick?
Yes. Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion on special use permit application number 2023-049 that Julie Cook, 14 Blueberry Crescent, to be able to have 4 dogs until the death of one of the dogs in the house by natural death, that the homeowners have agreed that they would follow the rules of the town ordinance, no more than 3 dogs.
So we can just basically say the permit will expire
Right.
on the death of.
Also,
one of
and
the-
also, I would like to put in the permit that the owner has agreed to make the invisible fence usable by fixing the collar on the one that's broken. That's part of it as well.
Okay. I will second. Just making notes for the clerks. Any further discussion? So just to recap, we would permit 4 dogs. The permit would expire upon the death of any of the 4 dogs. And that it's also conditioned that you fix the broken invisible fence collar. Hearing no further comments, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Abstain.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. I'd like to thank the neighbors, both for and against, who came in. It's great to hear feedback from those around and not just the owner, so
And
thank you
also-
again.
I'm sorry, and also the one who wrote in that
Yep.
we did receive that too. I think we
Yep.
should know that.
So thank you. Next up, we have special use permit application number 2024-001. Dossie Rock Cafe, 1225 Jefferson Road, to operate an ethnic restaurant serving Asian and Korean food, sit down and takeout meal service, outdoor seating, and alcohol to be sold. Just as a note for the previous applicant, you can either pick up the notice of approval of the special use permit, or you can email me at supervisor@henrietta.org and I'll send you an electronic copy of it. Okay, thank you. Do we have a representative from Dossie Rock Cafe, either here or online?
This is Mimi Loftus.
Could you repeat? We're getting an echo. If you could, it was hard to understand you. Could you please repeat who you were? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Dan, thank you.
Okay, this is Mimi Loftus, on behalf of, June Park, the owner of the Dushira Cafe. I'm working, with her regarding this and, getting a special permit for the restaurant use. We are getting at an, existing space to update, since it has been in a vacant several years. We are updating all this, requirement of, the town code to meet the code. So we'll comply. And I just received the letter that there is a 2 outdoor exterior barrier gates has a lock on it, latch on it, but it does not have an exit sign. So we'll put an exit sign on it, and then also we'll supply the fire alarm indoor. So the sitting over 50 people, I believe that you need to have an alarm. So we'll comply that part. Anything else do we have to do so far?
I just want to make sure it was clear that you can have the padlocks on those fence doors at night.
Mm-hmm.
For our customers, the padlocks have to be off in case they have to be used as emergency.
Right. They're not using it, so that's put the padlock. So we did not, we have no possessions yet. This is still another tenant is living there, staying there. So I just take a picture of the, the site, what does it look like? So once we trying to do the operating, we will make sure that there's no padlock. But we're only going to put the padlock at the evening when the business is closed.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think I read in the report that in addition to the fire alarm system for the building, I think you
Mhm.
want a strobe light on the outside part so that if there was a fire alarm, they could visually see it. I could be wrong. I thought that was.
Yeah, I think they do have some, yeah. But well, we'll check it, whatever that's one, because as I said, we could not be able to inspect the whole building inside since the other tenant is there. So we never really had the full inspection of a whole building. And
Right.
whenever the landlord deliver the space, we will inspect and we will trying to find the things comply, whatever we have to
Very good. Thank you.
do the town requested, yes.
For the outdoor seating, you're not planning to have any entertainment or?
No, no. This is for when the summer times comes in and then some warm weather, we want to have it much more spread it out. Now still pandemic is going on. We want to having a maximized, spread out the customers to more comfortable space.
Yep. No, I used to be a patron back when it was Full Belly Deli, so I'm very familiar with
Uh-huh.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, I just mentioned that because what a lot of people don't realize is just south of there is Castle Road, and there's a number of houses on Castle Road. So
Right.
having patrons outside eating won't be too loud, but it wouldn't support well, having
If
entertainment.
there's music, yes, I understand that. Yeah. So it will be quiet sitting. It shouldn't be louder sitting there. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm excited to have another Korean restaurant.
Yes, we are exciting too.
I was over to that site the other day and there was there was a fence in the back of the
Mhm.
property. Is that the outdoor
That's
seating?
the outdoor seating, yeah.
That's outdoor sitting, yes, cascading.
Okay.
And the fence is permanently placed.
We had a couple of pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sending out in the last couple of days, and then also I didn't have the time to check the lock pictures, and I just took the picture of the locks this afternoon, and I sent it to you to email to you.
We received those photos.
Right, and then I received that also the comment from the fire department, and then he was asking me to put the exit sign, and we're gonna clearly put an exit sign on there. Yes.
So you have a plan to sell alcohol?
Not right now, but in the future sometimes, if
Okay.
they, require, if the people customers more, demanding. But right now, so we're not starting.
Do you run a restaurant like this anywhere else right now?
Yes, yes. Actually, their uncle is running the restaurant over in Korean restaurant, two of them actually. Seoul House used to be the old one, and then they sold it, and then Young Restaurant. So the whole family is very accustomed to it, working at the restaurant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, these are all.
I got some photos.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 11 to 9. I don't have any other questions. Anyone else from the board? Is there any from the public who would like to make any comments? And hearing nothing further, I'm going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2024-001. Someone wish to make a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to propose that we adopt special use permit application number 2024-001, Dossie Rock Cafe, 1225 Jefferson Road, to operate an ethnic restaurant serving Asian and Korean food with sit-down and take-out meal service, offering outdoor seating and allowing alcohol to be sold.
Second.
Any further comment?
Being
Hearing,
that they're not getting an alcohol license right now, do we have to have that? now?
No. Yeah, yes, no, we don't have now, but we will apply if when we need it. Yeah.
yes, it has to be on the special use permit. It's automatically contingent upon then.
Getting the
obtain-
Right.
License.
Yes.
Okay,
License, yeah.
thank you.
But they can't, the thing is, it has to be there first, because one of the things that the alcohol board asks is this.
Yes.
people
Yes.
have
We
it.
are aware of it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? And hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
He answered,
Aye.
oh, sorry, we couldn't hear you. Supervisor Schultz.
aye. If you answer too quickly, it can't be heard over through the Zoom. Congratulations. If you send an email to supervisor@henrietta.org, I'll put you in touch with the Chamber of Commerce. They can arrange a ribbon cutting and, get word out there when you're ready to open.
Great. She's actually planning to invite everybody to having a first day of the opening, having a big dinner. She's planning everybody's in the town board, people's inviting and having a big one. So just expect a nice dinner one day they open it.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have special use permit application number 2024-002.
Okay, now we can get out. Yeah.
Cindy, I'm gonna butcher that name, so I'm just gonna say Cindy, 1365 Middle Road to have 4 dogs.
Cindy Tennyson.
Tennyson, okay?
Yes. Good evening, Cindy Tennyson. I live with my dad and my sister. My father and my late mother came Henrietta residents in 2005. So we're very partial to Henrietta ourselves, and it's an honor to be back here taking care of Dad. Yes, I have been a pug dog mama for almost 30 years now. Unfortunately, my first 2 dogs died early, one at 9 and 5 months and one at 8 years old. So the fact now that I have a 9.5 and a 10-year-old pug makes me a little nervous. They could live another 5 years. They may not. I did get a little boy because I've been threatening to get them a little brother for a few years now. Very cognizant of the 3-dog rule in Henrietta. And a huge proponent of licensing animals. People have been asking me, why do you bother? I'm like, because it's important. I want to protect my dogs as well as the town. But Merlin needs a little companion. The girls are a little slow.
I went through the same thing. I'd had 8 or 9-year-old dog. I wanted to learn a puppy to learn from her. She wanted nothing to do with the puppy, so I had to get a puppy for the puppy.
So yes, I would love to get Merlin a little sister so that when the two that are bonded with each other cross the Rainbow Bridge in the next 5 years, hopefully we'll get that much time with them. Merlin will have somebody that he's already bonded to, and it won't be such a huge loss for him. So I'm asking the board to allow me to get a little sister for Merlin while he's still young enough to match her energy for energy. And then again, when the two pass on, then I can have Merlin and his sister. And I asked both neighbors to the north have 2 dogs. They bark. We deal with it. The dogs are indoor dogs primarily. They are litter trained, so they go outside to play. And when they bark across the fence, we laugh for a few minutes and then we take them inside. And the neighbors to my south didn't even know we had dogs. So clearly not an issue with the neighbors. We do have a nice sizable backyard that I do like to get them out. They are prone to heat and cold, so the extreme weathers, we don't let them out.
I will note that the Valentine's Day card I got my wife for today is very appropriate to this application. Pugs and kisses. So I love puns, so
Yes,
I
and
couldn't resist. All right. They
Pugs
had 4
are,
pugs on it, so I think it was an omen.
there we go. Any other
Um,
questions or?
yeah, I mean,
concerns?
certainly, you know, with house trained dogs that are hardly outside, and especially the smaller breeds, it's typically not, the 3 limit isn't as big a deal. I don't know if anybody has any questions, comments.
I do. How'd your other dogs pass?
Mickey had intervertebral disc disease. She coded in the recovery room after surgery and died. Toby had cancer.
Sorry to hear that. I had a dog
you.
that just died of cancer. Tough. Mhm.
It's not fun.
Mhm.
Oh,
How old did you say the 2 older ones are?
9.5 and 10. Merlin is 17 months.
any other questions, comments? Is there anybody from the public who wishes to comment? So I don't know about you guys, I'm actually okay with not making it contingent on the older ones passing, but making it contingent upon that they're small, house trained dogs, because that way, if 8 years from now you want to do this again, you'd be okay. But like I said, I'd be fine with doing the 4, but limiting it to
Pugs.
pugs. Yep.
I'm okay with that.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so then I'm going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2024-002. I will make the motion that we approve special use permit application number 2024-002 to have 4 dogs, contingent that the dogs are pugs and are house trained.
I'll second.
Any other comment? Then hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Stain?
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
I have no problem with you having your
Congratulations.
dogs, by the way.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So same thing, if you can either pick up the special use permit from the clerks, or you can email me at supervisor@henrietta.org and I'll send you the electronic copy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's typically done by the end of the business day tomorrow, late in the business day. Okay?
Thank you. Happy Valentine's.
Yep, congratulations. Happy Valentine's Day.
Next up, we have special use permit application number 2024-003. Starbucks, 1100 Jefferson Road, to construct and operate a restaurant with sit-down and takeout service, outdoor seating, and a drive-through. I'll note this public hearing is for public comment and feedback. We will not be able to render a decision because 30 days have not passed since we
Seeker.
seeker for petition to be lead agency was struggling with the lead agency. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Hello, members of the board. My name is Joshua Saxton. I'm a civil engineer at Pastor Associates representing the applicant today. Here to discuss the proposed Starbucks at 1100 Jefferson Road. Kind of, if you don't know where it is, it's the plaza with Guitar Center, Big Lots. There's a Burger King, Five Guys, bunch of businesses in the plaza. And this will actually be a redevelopment project of the plaza. You see it a lot, I think, in Henrietta and around the country, just a lot of these big box store plazas. Generally, they have excessive amounts of parking, especially with the decrease in a lot of, shopping at these stores, a lot of online shopping now. So we see this a lot with these existing plazas where you actually retrofit and redevelop them to have more businesses in it, while kind of adding more green space and adding more features to the site, while getting rid of some of the parking that is probably not needed given the demand. So this actually has been, was originally submitted early last year, was pulled, and then now we are back, given some site changes and some input from the town. As shown here, kind of it's located in the southwestern portion of the large parking area. You can see the list of the other businesses to the north in the main plaza. So originally this design was actually more north-south oriented, but that was recently changed. Not recently, but that was one of the first changes we made, was squishing it down to be more east-west oriented to provide more parking to the businesses located in the northern part of the plaza, given that, that's where people mainly park and it's closer to the businesses to get there. So in addition to that, if you've been to the plaza, you would know that the main entrance, boulevard entrance off of Jefferson Inn, it has a very weird intersection going on there with multiple different areas coming in and kind of a wide almost sea of asphalt there that it's kind of hard to know which way to go. And it's not what I would consider a traditional intersection that, four-way to, four-way stop, and you can visually see all the cars. So that was also a part of the development of these plans, is to improve the existing plaza by retrofitting that intersection to create more of a traditional four-way intersection. You can kind of see how the road will swoop up to the north to almost align with that existing eastbound lane to create that more traditional intersection and provide more safety to the plaza, and kind of creating a more green space too, in addition to that, by expanding the grass island north. So I guess it's getting from that to the actual site. So we've been working with Starbucks on the site. This is essentially one of their prototype layouts, mainly for the drive-through variety. As you can see, the drive-through loop will start a little bit farther in the plaza. The queuing length has been determined mainly by Starbucks on their studies of, national studies on how much queuing they need. And if anyone's seen a Starbucks in the morning, how many cars can queue up a lot. So, we're actually exceeding what they usually require for the queuing. We're queuing about, I believe, 16 to 18 cars in the actual drive-through at the max. So it's not only just drive-through, there is the parking lot there that would be, used for any patrons entering the restaurant, as well as, pretty significant outdoor patio space that would be used for, obviously, if anyone's there dining or eating that wants to, sit outside for that. So not many other site features other than that. The one benefit I think to something like this, a redevelopment of parking, is it does add a little bit of green space. The existing plaza is mainly asphalt, which most are. So this will definitely breed some green space and trees and vegetation into the plaza, as kind of shown by some of the tree graphics shown on this drawing. And I think that'll kind of help beautify and create some of the heat island effect that you get from parking lots, reduce that a little bit so it's not as bad of a situation as it is now. So yeah, we're here for the special use permit for the multiple things, the restaurant use, the outdoor seating, and the drive-through. So here to answer any questions based on this initial layout or any concerns that you may have for this development.
So since there were two board members are new since the last time this was around, the two of the major changes he mentioned were from the town's direction. Because again, as we noted, they were taking too much, we felt they were taking too much close parking space away from all the shops that are in the main plaza building, which is why we wanted it pushed as far south as possible, which caused it to spread out. And then again, the other thing, if you've ever been in that plaza, that intersection is an accident waiting to happen. So they did agree to alter the roadway so that it now lines up and forms a four-way intersection. I would love to be able to close that entrance into the Verizon, but that's not their parcel. They don't have control over that, but
Yep.
it's I will say that there were far more people at the other driveway coming out from all the rest of the plaza to the east of here. So lining those two up to me was more critical than lining up with the Verizon.
And one item I didn't bring up is when this originally started last year, we did do a parking analysis of the plaza. Essentially went out, collected data of parked cars and looked at, the demand during, quote unquote peak hours. So that's, generally when a lot of people are shopping and out and about in these plazas. So something we looked at and analyzed the parking and, was found even with this reduction, the amount of parking that we have in the front and then the surrounding area will be sufficient for the businesses there for, the future developed conditions if this gets put in.
Yeah, I don't
So,
think I've ever, nowadays, if you see it a third full, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Shopping habits have changed. They tend to get in, buy something, get out. It's not the days of lawn ferocity.
Yep.
Steve, it might be helpful for the Verizon store you mentioned about the exit there, if they replace their stop sign.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a stop sign. It's not. And I saw somebody come through there the other day.
Okay. I will have our folks go over and talk to them about that.
Can I ask,
Yep.
when you did the parking lot study, I noticed it was just half of a plaza. Is that just a general, is that the way you normally do things, or do you feel that?
Yeah, it was.
I just wonder how you came about it more than.
Yeah, it's a fine line and where you kind of cut that off. I mean, you could do the whole thing, but you would think, if it's on the, the
So
complete
this is
east
everything
side.
to the west of the boulevard, essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
we,
was just curious how
yeah.
how they figure out how they're gonna do
and some of it's just judgment of knowing like, okay, if someone's probably not going to park on the east of the boulevard and walk all the way over to the businesses and, also shrinking it to that, we didn't want to expand it so much. Like you have all this parking, wanted to focus more on the area where, where this is going to be impacting the parking. How is that going to impact the space that's there for the adjacent businesses as opposed to, all the way down the plaza?
And one of the things I will note, it does add some parking to the area in front of Moe's and Five Guys and Joe's Brooklyn, which of the area that's most likely to be full, that's it. So adding space there, it reduces the chance that somebody has to park to the north and walk across the drive lanes. So I think it helps out in a number of ways. So I think they do a good job with addressing our concerns. Yeah, Rick, I should note that
There was two versions.
this was when they first came back and then they went back to, so there's a drawing in the parking study. That was after they first addressed our concerns. They then went back to Starbucks and Starbucks changed it to that pattern.
Yep.
The outdoor seating on the south aspect or the north?
The south.
Thank you. And the dumpster is located?
So that's the one thing that, looking at, obviously that's a sensitive thing. You don't want it right on the road. I believe the plan we have now kind of shows it more to the west. but it's been since updated and we're trying to shift it more inward.
So-
Actually, in their mock-up, they have it in the parking lot area, which I think makes the most sense, but then Starbucks came back and wanted it outside, so I was a little confused on their request for that. So that's something that, if it goes forward, working with the planning board and making sure if it is close, screened and,
Yeah.
not right on East Henrietta Road, so everyone can take a look at it. So.
Yeah, so they are addressing that, but the thing is they want it also to be at a location that a truck can pull in and empty it without disturbing the plaza. So that was, but the planning board is taking a look at that. So that's in front of the planning board. Okay, any other questions?
Now, Josh, did you say that the queuing was 16 to 18 spots?
Yes. And then that's, based on the prototype site that they have, they determine that's essentially what you would need for, the maximum that you would need. Like I said, if you've been to any of the ones that don't have the queuing, they can go on to roads and stuff. And I know,
We don't want that.
I know the one that we did on Calkins and West Henrietta, I don't think it has as much queuing as this, and that one, it gets close, but I don't think it's had any issues of spilling over, so.
Right, and the other thing I do like is that with the way they have it oriented, the entry is further away from East Henrietta Road, so less likely in the event that there is a sudden surge, it's gonna back up into the plaza versus back up onto the roads, which is important, especially since the two roads here are both state routes.
Yep.
Busy state routes.
Because I think that was one of the originals. It was a little bit closer to that East Henrietta
Yep.
entrance, so we want to move that away. So in the case of a spillover, it's like said, it's not
I-
going to cause any issues.
I can say there's a queuing problem with the one at Market Commons when it gets busy with the people.
Marketplace.
Where the.
Square.
Market
Square.
Square, I'm sorry.
Market Square. Yeah,
The
Market
one
Square.
where,
That's where Chipotle and all
the
that.
Bellows is and
Yeah.
behind Chipotle, there's you.
I get mixed,
Market
they're,
Square.
they're marked, which one's which, but
Yeah.
yeah. One is square and one is commons. I couldn't tell you which one's which. Okay, I'll set.
All set. We're not gonna get a more updated parking study because that was from April of 23. That's so. This didn't have what I'm saying is after you made the changes, it didn't have a big effect. on
No, it didn't.
parking.
Yeah, it didn't affect the parking. No. And there was, as kind of stated before, there's a lot less parking in these plazas now. And, even with these changes, it provides ample parking for the existing businesses.
I can say I'm kind of concerned about, if we keep adding to these plazas like they did at Market Commons or.
Well, and if you remember, we turned some of them down because they started to get, when they reached a particular density. They had a auxiliary parking field that wasn't, that they were trying to say, oh, we could use this, but when you really get down to it, it was through and around in the back of the plaza. No one's gonna go there. So we did turn down a couple of their additions to that particular plaza because we agreed it was getting over full.
Mhm.
This one, I don't think crosses that line. If they tried to put something else big in the middle of that parking lot, I think they would start to cross that line.
Mhm.
So, but like I said, I don't think this is, I do think there is plenty of parking space. Unfortunately, a lot of the plazas were built with these giant seas of asphalt that, nowadays, we would have had them land bank a bunch of this, if anything, but.
Looking at the old plans and these plans, it's a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, a lot better for everyone in that plaza.
And again, like you said, at the islands with the greenery, I think does help.
Mhm.
So. Okay, is there anyone from the public who wishes to make a comment? And hearing and seeing nothing further, I'm going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2024-003. Again, we will not be making a ruling because seeker hasn't completed. I'm closing the public hearing, but if people have comments, we always take comments during our normal discussion anyways, but that way we don't have to advertise for it again, but
Will that be at the next board meeting, or get when it's?
you'll get notice.
Oh, no.
I think it is at the next one, because Yeah, so that would be more than 30 days apart.
Okay, will a representative from Starbucks be here too? I had some questions. I thought this was just mainly for the building setup.
It is,
We can
we
request
could
them to be
request
online.
that they have somebody present.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, I have this public hearing for special use permit application number 2024-004, Wild Berries, 3333 East River Road, to operate a smoothie bar with sit-down and takeout service. Please introduce yourself and your relationship to the project.
Yes, I'm Rod Prosser of Lakeside Engineering, PC. I'm representing Mr. Rami Ali, who is the proposed owner of the Wild Berries Fruit Smoothie Bar. We submitted to you our application, which includes a couple of drawings. Those drawings depict first the existing location of the facility will be in the existing service station at 3333 East River Road that was approved by yourselves not too long ago. It will occupy approximately 300 square feet within that facility. There will be basically 2 counters, a display case, and a checkout area. There'll be a working location where they do the mixing and the blending of the fruit smoothies. Hours of operation, we're proposing 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., possibly 1 employee on site to help Rami with his work. It'll be a great place and a great location is what we're hoping. Rami's here to answer any specific questions you might have on the operation of his new store.
Great. Did you want to add anything before we ask questions?
Good evening, my name is Rami Ali. So I just moved to Rochester 3 years ago. So I saw an opportunity to open a juice bar in the area. I really like the area, and I think so. I have 10 years of experience in this industry, and I feel that we're gonna bring something good to the community. Also, we have RT in front of us. Also, we have all the labs and all the community around, and that's much about it. Thank you.
Now, are you a different entity than who's opening the gas station?
Yes.
Okay. Do we know when this is scheduled to open? Do we have a date? It looks like it's getting close.
To be honest, we have a little stuff left, but this information is go back to the owner, to be honest.
Okay. I just didn't know if you had a projected date, but I understand you're not the
We
one.
are planning since we get the permit and everything
Right.
goes up and running, and we prepare like 2 months, 3 months, hope
Sounds good.
by the summer, yeah.
I will say, it's the developer's done a really good job cleaning up what used to be a bit of an eyesore with all the car parts that used to be at the service station.
Yeah,
Mr. Legno did great service in terms of especially taking care of college students who had trouble affording repairs, but we'll just say his neatness had something to be desired.
Yes, there is.
So, having spoken with you on a number of occasions, I don't really have any further questions. The only thing I just look at is just in terms of if there's people are going to be able to eat inside, they would have access to that restroom. Is that correct?
Nobody's gonna be no seats.
No seats?
Just
Okay.
take out. We don't have enough space.
Okay. Okay.
Well, it was mentioned that this wasn't, we approved it not too long ago. I'm not sure if there was some other improvements since I was on the town board. I had 2-year absence. And we approved this originally, I believe it was in 2020. And a couple of things, you know, right off the bat, we found him working in there without a permit. So it's been, and then a year later, at that time, they told us there wouldn't be any, they were gonna use the original footprint. They came back a year later, said they gotta put in coolers, these big coolers, and the drafts that they gave us certainly don't match what was, the draft that I have from back then doesn't match what was actually built. So I'm not sure if they came back in between.
They did come back with regards to the cooler, so,
I was here when they came back with the coolers, but then did they come back again because what they drafted, gave us as a draft, doesn't match what.
I don't know,
was
but
built then.
you're talking about two different special use permits.
Right.
That's for the building.
Right.
This gentleman is just operating within the building,
Yeah, and at that time, it said it was gonna be used as a gas station and a convenience.
which
store.
it is.
Okay.
They're just they wanted to put a fruit smoothie bar inside of it
Yeah, I
for
just,
people and tenants, and because they're actually, if they were all prepackaged, ready to go, you wouldn't need a special use permit. But because he's actually gonna be mixing them on site, it's considered food service, therefore he needs a special use.
Yes.
So
So just a question, how much of this convenience store are you gonna be taking up compared to, you know?
do you have this map, Mike?
Yeah,
It
that's
said
right.
300
Is
feet,
it
I think.
800 feet out of the,
About 300 square feet, maybe less.
Yeah,
About 10 foot wide for the counters and, runs about 25 feet, so times 10 is about 250 out of over 1,000.
so where the counter is, there, I looked in there, where the counter is currently, where there's.
it's what used to be the counter for the service station.
Yeah.
If you look, the other cashier, there is a lotto cashier and glass display over to the right.
Yeah.
That's the convenience store cashier. From the looks of it, so, oh, there it is. It's up on the screen.
Right.
So he's just that little section
Yep.
in the lower left corner.
Okay, that's what I was, thanks, referring to.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't have any other questions.
So Rami, you've had 2 years of experience doing this. Where'd you do that at?
I have 10 years of experience with.
10?
10 years.
I
yes.
heard 2. I'm sorry, I
So
misheard you.
I said I just moved 2 years ago from
Okay.
New York City to Rochester. I just got married. I have a son now in Rochester. I really love the community and I see a good opportunity for me to grow and do open a good business in the area. And I have a lot of family goes to RT, and this will give me inspiration about to open a juice bar, and also to bring something healthy to the community. Because we must in the area, like you have to drive a little far to just get a juice bar, like a juice or salad. But it's good for the students, for them to be there, like in and out in the lunch break or so.
All right, that's great. And for Rod, when are you expecting the service station to open up?
The operator of the service station is here. You can better answer that question
Okay.
than I can. This is Mo Yassin.
Okay, if you could
Maybe he
do me a
can
favor
enlighten
and
you
speak,
on that.
stop moving away from the mic.
Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I came here 2 times before,
And your name again?
Mo Yassin. We expect it to be over like maybe 3-4 months from now. We wait in the gas company and we wait in the permit for the signs.
Okay.
Because we apply for the sign.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the only thing we're waiting for. And
Great.
We're waiting for Rami fruit bar if he been approved.
Like I said, the site looks great, especially compared to how it used to look, so kudos there.
Thank you.
I don't really have any further questions.
Yeah, you did a great job on the bill.
Thank you.
Looks very nice.
Yeah.
But do you now own it, or does that White Arrow still own it?
Excuse me?
Do you currently own it, or does White Arrow Service Station?
No,
still
we
own it?
talked about that before, that
Yeah.
I leased the place like rent to own.
Right.
So we have agreement between me and Dwight Arrow.
It's
to
a
pay-
franchise.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, or licensing.
Right, and
Exactly.
I was under the impression that he was gonna buy it eventually. I just was asking. if
Yeah,
he-
yeah, I'm not doing that much construction, just to give it away, No.
All right.
So you anticipate that in 3 or 4 months, you open up the
Uh,
gas station, everything else?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for that answer.
Thank
Anything else? Again, anything from the public? And hearing and seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing for special use permit application number 2024-004. Does anyone wish to make a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to approve special use permit application number 2024-004 for Wild Berry at 3333 East River Road to operate a smoothie bar and sit down. You really not having sit down, right? To authorize a smoothie bar and takeout service in about 300 feet of the building. Hours of operation 10 to 6 p.m.
Second.
I normally don't like to include the hours of operation in the special use permit, otherwise theoretically they have to come back to us to change it. But one of the things we did do is it does not include late night operation. That's a separate checkbox in the,
Yeah, I remember that.
so you're not planning to do overnight? No, okay, the applicant said no. Okay, so it's gonna be just during the hours of the gas station, which does not operate overnight, is what the
Yeah, I believe.
gentleman from the said.
On the original permit or special use, I thought we had hours in there.
I don't, like I said, we typically, we don't want to say this is when it has to open and close. We might say this is when it can't be open.
Right.
Right, so the way we do our restaurants is the same way. And again, one of the check boxes is late night operation, and then there's even another checkbox for 24. He didn't check either of those, so. I just don't, my point is if he wants to open up at 10:30 instead or whatever, I don't want to approve it for a specific time, unless there's a good reason for that. Like I said, it just has more to do that. We'll just say no late night operation.
It's fine with me.
Okay, any other comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. And finally, we have a public hearing. Oh, actually, hold on a second. Congratulations again. When you guys are getting close to opening, if you want to contact me at supervisor@henrietta.org, I can put you in touch with the Chamber of Commerce. We can do a ribbon cutting, celebrate it, get some, help get the word out that you're now open. So great. Finally, we have a public hearing for notice to perform work at 6 Bitternell Lane. Our code enforcement officer visited the site today, sent pictures. The violations are still present. Is there anyone, either an owner or occupant or representative of 6 Bitternell Lane present? These problems have been present for a long time. We did issue the violations. We did send a notice to appear in court. The individual has not appeared at any of his court dates. And obviously they're not currently present here. Is there anybody who would wish to make a comment on this property? So basically our decision, actually, I think we have a resolution. So I will just hold off till we get the resolution. Then hearing and seeing no further comments, I'm going to close the public hearing regarding the notice to perform work at 6 Bitternell Lane for property maintenance violations. That concludes our public hearings. Can I get my third resolution? I guess that's me, isn't it?
It is.
I hate when they do that to me. Hold on a second. Okay. Fellow board members, I have resolution 4-83, 2024 to authorize the town to perform work at 6 Bitternell Lane for numerous code violations and to lien the costs against the property.
Second.
Any further discussion? Like I said, I'll note, we did just inspect the property today. As a matter of fact, they were been out multiple times, but we just wanted to confirm it was still in violation today, and it is. Any further comments?
I'd just like to say, I think we gave the owner of the property ample time to remedy this and appear before us and the courts, and they haven't done so. So I think this is the right action.
Agreed. Hearing and seeing no further comment, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-84, 2024 to approve and or ratify the following agreements.
Seconded.
I'll just note that Attorney Mistrella's agreement, we just switched it to be a flat monthly rate instead of having to track hours.
Okay, that's great.
I've probably already exceeded his number of hours, so it's beneficial for the town, but Dan's a good sport and he's been very willing to help on anything and everything, so. Any further comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 4-85, 2024 to authorize bills payable and any associated contracts or agreements for February 5th, 2024 through today, February 14th, 2024.
Second.
So I'd just like to make a comment that we did not spend $19 million. $17 million or so of that is the check to the fire district because the town collects all taxes and then has to pay the other entities their portion of the taxes. So that's where the first big chunk is. And then, of course, there's a bunch going out for pay apps for the new court. But it's an exceedingly large number.
It sure is.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca. Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-86, 2024 to authorize the supervisor to sign the cemetery maintenance assistant agreement with the Maplewood Public Cemetery.
Second.
So for those who don't know, the Maplewood Public Cemetery is located on Middle Road. It is a not-for-profit public cemetery under New York state laws. Municipalities are allowed to sign a cemetery maintenance agreement. And one of the reasons for that is, for those who aren't aware, if a cemetery ever goes under, it comes under the jurisdiction of the town to take care of it. So we're much better off assisting the not-for-profit so they stay afloat rather than us having to take on the entire duties of the cemetery. So right now, what that's looking like is we would be helping, we're going to be plowing the roads, the main roads, plowing and salting. We're not doing the small paths in between, just the main loop road. And then potentially in the summer if we need to do like a brush hog or some major cut, we can help with that as well. So. Any other questions, comments?
Steve, is there any other non-for-profit cemeteries in town?
If there are, they have not approached the town.
Okay,
The only other one I'm aware of, I don't know its exact status. I think it might be a family-owned, not necessarily registered as a public cemetery, is, I think it's called Riverview. It's on East River Road. But a lot of the other ones, the town already maintains. And there are a couple that are still active, not-for-profits, like the Ascension Gardens. I shouldn't say not-for-profit. They may be, whether they're for-profit or not, they're not public cemeteries. That's a specific distinction under New York state law. I think that one is associated with church.
It is.
So. Any other questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 4-87, 2024, to call for a public hearing on a local law to amend the town code regarding training and attendance requirements and authorize the appointment of alternates for the zoning and planning boards.
Second. So one of the things that's strange, when New York State put in the minimum requirements for training, they didn't reference their own laws that allows towns to enforce it. Towns can enforce minimum training requirements through a town statute. I don't know why they didn't also say or through New York state law, since it's their minimum. So we're fixing that. And then we had a discussion that we'd like to have some alternates. The town, it's one of these confusing names. It's called New York State Town Law. Does allow for towns to have alternates for purposes of conflicts of interest. But through municipal home rule law, we're expanding that to allow for people who are also out due to sickness. It's up to the chairperson of that particular committee to decide whether to use an alternate or not. But one of the other things we believe this will be beneficial for is it would allow those alternates to get training and to get experience from the boards ahead of time, so that when an opening does occur, we would have a candidate, assuming they did a good job as alternate, we'd have somebody who we could move right in and they'd be ready to hit the ground running because they'd already be trained. They'd already have some experience. So we think it'll be very beneficial to the planning boards and zoning board of appeals. We've been talking with the chairs of those boards and they're all for it. So this is just calling for the public hearing, but I just wanted to explain the
You did that
conflict
very
on
well.
law. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Any further comment? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Fellow board members, I have resolution 4-88, 2024 to reappoint the Climate Smart Community Coordinator.
Second.
So Pat Wardinger does a phenomenal job as our chairperson of the Sustainability Committee. And she was volunteered to continue on as coordinator. Apparently under the Climate Smart Community Program, we have to reappoint the coordinator every year. The task force, you only have to appoint and notify them of changes, but the coordinator has to be reappointed every year. So starting next year, we'll put this as part of our organizational meeting, so it just happens automatically.
Good idea.
Further questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Blanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Nice hesitation.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-89, 2024. To upgrade the Riverton Municipal Golf Course Irrigation Pump Station upgrade bid to Rednick Industries, Inc.
Seconded.
So the Ratnick had the lowest compliant bid, so we're awarding the bid to them. There's gonna be some additional work as part of that project, a lot of which is being done by town, but there's a couple things that we're not gonna know as to whether we're gonna need to replace them until we open it up. So we added $10,000 in aggregate on top of the 96,000 for the bid, just so that we have some room in the event that we discover some things. If it's more expensive than that, we would have to come back to the town board for additional approval. But because it's all part of the same project, we can't, even though the 10,000 is below what I can approve, because it's part of this larger project, it has to be approved at the same time. So, any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 4-90, 2024 to take part in addressing the housing crisis by adopting the Pro-Housing Communities Pledge.
Second.
So I'd like to thank Deputy Town Supervisor Craig Eckert for his effort on this. The governor is making a big push for pro-housing. Just so you guys know, the threshold to be considered pro-housing, you have to add about 1% over the past 3 years. I think we're over 10%. We're still getting the numbers from the building department in terms of the number of permits issued. I was talking with County Executive Adam Bello today, and he joked that he thinks we could make the entire county pro-housing based off of the growth we've seen in Henrietta. So one of the things we had to do is it had this pledge to say we would do these new things. We've been doing them for years. So we kind of modified the pledge to basically say that we're maintaining our streamlined permitting process, and so a lot of the stuff, again, we already we put in 2019 when we adopted the comprehensive land use plan, right? We incorporated the housing needs into that planning process. We increased density through the incentive zoning. We allowed to increase density for affordable housing. We, have a lot of stuff that we've been working on to, again, develop affordable housing, accessible housing. We just did that with the what was it called? West Sunset development, where we basically gave them additional units if they made them accessible for the deaf and hard of hearing. So, this town's been doing that certainly as long as I've been in office, and probably before that. But we have to formalize and go through the process to be considered. One of the things is, from what we hear, this is going to be one of the grading criteria for any of the consolidated funding applications. So it will help us get approval for other applications by being a pro-housing community. So, any other questions, comments, including from Mr. Effort? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-91, 2024 to add the highway driveway permit fees to the maintenance, to the miscellaneous fees in the 2004 fee schedule.
Second.
That is under the category of miscellaneous fees because it's not a building permit, so. That one has a number of different sewer department, storm department, highway. The other main categories are the recreation fees, clerk fees and the building fees, yeah, so. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
He said aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. The key again is you have to pause ever so slightly because it's not doing bi-directional. When she's speaking, it cuts out her hearing us.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 4-92/2024 to authorize the purchase of one new heavy equipment trailer for the highway department.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Fellow board members, I have resolution 4-93, 2024 to authorize the purchase of a crew cab pickup truck for the highway department.
Second.
So again, then as mentioned Monday, our highway superintendent used to be road foreman. His truck is going to become the road foreman vehicle. It has all the tools on the back. We're getting a smaller pickup truck for him because he doesn't need to haul tools around as commissioner. Any questions, comments?
He promised me a ride in that new truck.
I'll let you know when it arrives.
All right.
Any further comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-94, 2024 to declare items surplus materials from the assessor's office and the recreation department.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I have resolution number 4-95, 2024. Whereas MVP Healthcare has donated $1,250 to the Town of Henrietta Senior Center in support of wellness programming for senior citizens, and whereas a check in the amount of $1,250 was received by the Director of Finance, therefore be it resolved that the Henrietta Town Board acknowledges this donation and thanks MVP Healthcare for their generosity.
Second.
So I'd like to thank MVP. They've been supportive of our wellness programs, especially for seniors for quite some time. It's great to be able to offer these programs at minimal or no charge to our residents. And we can do that so through the support of companies like MVP Healthcare. Any other comments?
That is great.
Hearing and seeing no further comments, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz and fellow board members, I have resolution 4-96, 2024 Whereas the Henrietta Public Library Friends and Foundation, Inc. has donated $150 to the Henrietta Library, Public Library to the acquisition of the OWL tripod. And whereas the check in the amount of $150 was received by the library director, therefore be resolved that the Henrietta Town Board acknowledges the donation and thanks the Henrietta Public Library Friends and Foundation, Inc. for the generosity.
Second.
So
Thank you.
the OWL tripod does not support a bird. An owl is a, basically a speaker and microphone pickup for, teleconferencing. So. Any questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor, I have resolution number 4-97, 2024, to make appropriate budget transfers and adjustments to the 2023 adopted budget.
Second. So they're doing all the cleanup for the end of 2023. We've had the auditors in as well. So hopefully get all that finalized, and I'll have the final numbers as part of the state of the town, assuming it's all done by then.
Great.
Any questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. Fellow board members, I have the last resolution, number 4-98, 2024, to hire personnel and make the attached change.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Page,
Aye.
Councilmember Belanca,
Aye.
Councilmember Barley,
Aye.
Councilmember Stafford,
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz.
Aye. I guess it's possible, in theory, there's somebody online, but we lost the last of our public attendees a couple resolutions ago. But if anybody from the public has any additional comments, let me know. Hearing and seeing none, do we have any committee or miscellaneous reports from the board?
Mr. Supervisor and fellow board members, I had the opportunity to attend the library board meeting last week, and let's just say that if you go to hpl.org right now, there's a lot going on in the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow from 4 o'clock to 7 at the library, there is a Narcan training. There are some teen and young child events coming up the following week. Wednesday, the 21st, Animals in the Library. Thursday, the 22nd, Tea Party with TR. And Friday, the 23rd, it is Goblin Quest, which is a role-playing tabletop game. On Saturday, the 24th, the teen volunteers are putting together care packages for soldiers serving overseas. Wednesday, the 28th, there is a Zoom program called Cooking for Two. There is a book discussion about Pulitzer Prize winner Matthew Desmond's book, Poverty by America. And on Tuesday, March 5th, there are healthcare navigator meetings at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. From the Youth Board, they're very happy that the selections for the Henrietta Youth Hall of Fame have been made. The congratulation letters went out on February 1st. We are working to confirm the keynote speaker for that event, and that's going to take place, the event itself, at the RIT Inn and Conference Center on April 28th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody else?
I had the meeting, the commissioners meeting I attended yesterday at the Henrietta Fire District. Chief Cholak indicated he had a very productive meeting with you and several other town officials about the situation going on with some of the smoke shops here in Henrietta. So just thought I'd bring that up. We appreciated all your time.
I attended our diversity committee meeting, and most recently they're looking at planning 2 events, one for the Pride event which I think they're looking at June 10th. Our director of Rec Center, Pam, was there along with Andrea. They're looking for planning for that, and also for the Juneteenth celebration on June 19th. So the Pride celebration is June 10th. No time has been decided for that, and then Juneteenth is June 19th, and they're planning for both of those.
Great. I'll note that because of the Juneteenth celebration, that board meeting will be moved up earlier in the evening so that we can attend the Juneteenth celebration. That notice will be going out.
Yeah, we decided 4:30, right? So we could put it in our calendars.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. Did you have any?
Yeah, I attended the ambulance board meeting, and I mentioned before, actually their proposition or application for the extension of the parking garage goes before the planning board at the next board meeting. They're doing very well. They're very busy. They're all over the county and covering and backing up. And one of the things, I guess, that has made a big difference, and I don't know how much longer it's going to last, is that I think AMR and some of the city ambulances lost their ability to transport from facility to facility. So our ambulance is doing a tremendous amount of, I've seen them take them as far as, out of state almost, but they're covering everything right now, and very busy, very professional, very well run. So it's interesting to go to their meetings, as it was for me to do the fire department as well.
I don't have a whole lot other than, I just want to mention that I've been receiving a lot of great compliments for both the clerk's office and the assessor's office in terms of public service, and how great the folks at the counters have been. So, we've made a concerted effort to all throughout the town to improve or continue the great customer service. And it's great getting feedback, hearing that the efforts from our directors and their staff is paying off. So, we've got some great employees here at town, and it's nice when people take the time to let us know. So, anything else? And can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moves.
Second.